It is a great honor and pleasure to welcome you very warm to this year's symposium. And the focus is on missionaries in Macau and Hong Kong. So we have two parts. One part is a presentation of our great master. Here is Mark O'Neill. I think everybody knows him. A wide knowledge in different fields. He was in the Troubles in Belfast and also traveled widely through Asia. And we know him. We are deeply grateful that you are here sharing your wisdom. Mark, he published on the Buddhist non-Tzu Chi, this on philanthropy. And we have here for a very special topic, the missionaries in Hong Kong. And we want to have not just self-congratulatory, that would be not appropriate, but a little bit of a provocative question is, certainly the missionaries are very appreciated in Singapore, in Hong Kong, because they contributed to the education of less privileged people. So therefore, we have a great appreciation in Hong Kong, appreciation also for the church for exactly this reason. However, and this is a bit our provocative sting, so to speak, today, ask yourself, do we still accomplish this mission? The widening gap between the rich and the poor. So in Hong Kong, Gini coefficient, we talk about 0.583. So it's enormous. Can we still accomplish this mission to help the poor? Or did we degenerate to be schools for the elite? So this at least is for us sometimes a very kind of disturbing question. Or have we just to acknowledge a failure? We don't accomplish this mission anymore. So this is the first part. The second part, I'm also very, very grateful first to my colleagues from the Faculty of Business and Law, so Dean Jenny Phillips and Florence Lay, who just founded the Sustainability Business Lab. So maybe you need first a really strong applause for this. It's a major achievement. I think you have that achieved. So, and we always feel inspired by enthusiasm. You're so busy, but so systematically and rigorously also join us for these projects, as well as I would warmly welcome CY Law, also from MSS recruitment firm, so is the Gold Prize winner of the Eignen Award. This brings us to the second part. The second part is when we ask ourselves, when we promote this Eignen Award, we have warm memories of Father Alfred Eignen, who was over 50 years a passionate educator in Hong Kong. And so we had already 2 awards after his name for responsible entrepreneurship and responsible behavior in business. How can we share these values of honesty, integrity in a cutthroat business environment? This is also a very serious question, because I recall my dear friend Andrew Saw, who was Ombudsman of Hong Kong from 1994 to 1999. I asked him, can you recall any honest Hong Kong business person? And he took that as a very serious question, and he thought, sorry, I don't, after thinking hard, no, I don't, I would not know anybody whom you could say would match these criteria. So again, should be a challenge to reflect then with our panel on these questions. But now, without further ado, we give over to our master Mark. Thanks again to be with us. We know he's very humble. He speaks Cantonese, Mandarin, Japanese, and also really over many years and decades investigating not only the troubles. No, the troubles are not only in Belfast, but everywhere. And now, thanks really from bottom of my heart that you share your wisdom tonight. Thank you so much. Give him a big hand. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Take time from your busy schedule. I thank very much Father Stefan and his colleagues for arranging today's event. For us, it's our second time at St. Joseph College, and the first time was very enjoyable. And we are so honored to have so many priests in the room. Since I was in Ireland, I had never been in a room with so many priests. So we are very, we 沾他们的光, you know, their radiance shine over us, you know. Anyway, today we are selling 3 books. I just bring to your attention. One is Europeans of Hong Kong. Then we have a book about Mr. Zhou Yaoguang, who was the father of Pinyin, an extraordinary man, extraordinary life. And then we also have a book about Taiwan, Republic of China. This is the history of the last 41 years. It's my personal memoir. So if you like to buy any of these books, my Taita will be very happy. Now, just to say a word why we wrote this book. Most people think the history of Hong Kong is a combination of the British management and the Hong Kong hard work and entrepreneurship. Now, this is true, but it's not the whole truth, no. Because the contribution of the Europeans, especially the religious, is essential for the Hong Kong of today. They built schools, hospitals, churches, welfare institutions, and now they are flourishing in Hong Kong. The number of foreign missionaries in Hong Kong is very few now. So these institutions are largely run by very able Hong Kong people or missionaries from other countries. And Father Stefan talked about educating the poor. The missionary schools were open to everybody. The fees were low. So tens of thousands of Hong Kong people from modest families, including my esteemed Taita over here, they went to these schools, and these schools transformed their lives, completely transformed their lives. And they are still doing the same today. So this is a very great contribution by the Europeans. Okay, let us look now at the PowerPoint. Can anybody tell me what this building is? Now, this used to be the Club Germania before 1914. Yes, very good. There, make it easy for you. Because before 1914, the Germans were the biggest foreign community in Hong Kong after the British. And before 1914, Germany already overtaken Britain as an industrial power. So they were very powerful financially, industrially, and so on. So they had a German club. It moved twice because they had so much money and grow so fast. And this was the final place. Then 1914, the war comes, and the British government confiscate all the German properties, and they hand it over to La Salle, which, as you know, is a French missionary order, and is now St. Joseph's College. And it's a very prestigious missionary school in Hong Kong today. Now, this question is a bit more difficult. Can you tell me who this man is? His name is Alexandre Yersin. He is a French bacteriologist. And in the 1890s, Hong Kong had a terrible plague, and there was no cure for the plague. So he was living at that time in Vietnam, which was a French colony. So he went to Hong Kong to try to find a cure. And the Hong Kong government had already hired a very eminent Japanese scientist to find a cure. So this Japanese scientist was in a laboratory looking for the cure, and he wouldn't let Mr. Yersin come into the laboratory. You know, it's his place. So instead, he used this hut and he did experiments. And what he did was, of course, there are many dead people from the plague. So he obtained some cadavers through the British Army, and he worked on these cadavers, and he found the cure for the plague. And the name of the cure is named after him, Mr. Yersin. These ladies are French sisters, Sœurs de Saint Paul, and their contribution to Hong Kong is very, very large. So one of their contribution was to take in many elderly Hong Kong ladies who had no money, who had no home, and they provided a hospice for them. The other thing they did, which we put on the front page, is they rescued children who had been abandoned. About 88% were young girls, and they took them off the street, and they took them in, clothed them, fed them, educated them, trained them, and they did this to 34,000 children in Hong Kong, 34,000 over a period of about 50 years. So the reason we put that photo on the front page is because we think it's the most glorious contribution by Europeans in Hong Kong. So let's start with the Germans. So as I say, they came to Hong Kong very soon after Hong Kong was set up. Germany was a big trading industrial nation. There were 4 Germans on the board of the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, which is quite remarkable. 1895, this company called Jebsen and Company was founded, and it's still flourishing today. It's still under the ownership of the Jebsen family. And the current head is called Hans Michael Jebsen. Now, because I was writing this book during COVID, I was in contact with Mr. Jebsen. He was very helpful in writing the chapter about him and his company. But because of COVID, his children could not visit him. So he was a bit lonely. He had a huge house, you know, on the peak. So he invited me to his house. I only go there because of COVID, you know. So we're in this enormous reception room, and there's just me and him and his wife. She is from noble family in Germany. And he showed me a translation by Luther of the Bible in German. I never seen such a book before. Can we say the Reformation began with this book? I think we can, yes. So he is in Hong Kong today. He's still running the company. So that's 1895 to now. And I think it's the only important European company in Hong Kong which has been so long and still under the control of one family. Now, how about this? Anybody tell me where this is? School for the blind, founded by German missionaries called Ebenezer. It's in Pok Fulham Road, and it's still going today. It's still a very important school. So this also was a missionary contribution to Hong Kong. This was a German photographer called Michael Wolff. He took many, many photographs of Hong Kong. It was hard to choose one, but I thought this was a good illustration of the conditions which many people in Hong Kong live. So now let's speak about the French. So we have Mr. Yersin already. Then we have the Sisters of Saint Paul de Chartres. And then the other important missionary order is called the Société des Missions Étrangères de Paris. And they set up in Hong Kong the Asian Pacific headquarters. So it was like a multinational company today. And from this office, they managed all their missionary activities throughout Asia. It was an enormous enterprise. And they had several facilities in Hong Kong. One was called the Bethany Sanatorium, where they treated missionaries, not just from Hong Kong, but all over Asia. And they also bought this building called Douglas Castle. I think we have a photo. Here it is. And this was an extraordinary place. They did printing of 28 languages, and many of them were the first books in this language. I think Cambodian, Laotian, Southeast Asian languages. There were no books before in this language, and they printed them there. So I tried to find one in these exotic languages, but I'm afraid I couldn't. I think this is Italian. by one of your colleagues. French. So the most remarkable chief of this order in Hong Kong was Father Léon Robert. Now, he was both a missionary, but also he was very good businessman. So he was on the board of many companies. He bought shares, he bought properties. He made a great deal of money, but he didn't use the money for himself. He used the money for his missionary purpose. He used it to finance all this missionary work across Asia. And he bought this building. I'm sure you have been there. It was later the Supreme Court building in Hong Kong. It's still exactly like it is now. So he bought that, and that was his headquarters in Hong Kong. Now, the Sisters of St. Paul, they want to build a hospital. So they need his help. So he provided the finance. So this is the first of their hospitals. They have two in Hong Kong, one in Causeway Bay, one in Kowloon. This was the first one. And the one in Kowloon is called St. Teresa. That's the official name. But nobody in Hong Kong knows these names. So recently, my wife and I had to go to the one in Kowloon, and we said to the taxi driver the correct name, and then we said 法國醫院. Ah, 法國醫院.明白啦. So if you want to go to either of these, you must say 法國醫院. So these hospitals are flourishing today. Of course, they're very modern. They are have all the most modern equipment. They are private hospitals. So again, I don't think, maybe just a few nuns are there, but the spirit of the orders is still what governs them. So I think this order is the one with the biggest contribution to Hong Kong. As I said, they took in so many abandoned children. They have built these two hospitals. They set up a large number of schools. All this is flourishing today, but there are no European nuns anymore. So it is Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, maybe some Indian. And they provided this, they sent us this photograph. Now, this was another amazing Frenchman, Henri Vetch. Now, he lived in mainland from 1920 to 1950. His father was in bookshops in Beijing, Tianjin. He was very much in love with China. He was in China during World War II. In 1950, he was arrested for plotting to kill Chairman Mao. Of course, complete nonsense. They said that on the 1st of October, 1950, which is the first anniversary of the PRC, he and I think 5 others were going to shell mortars on the platform in Tiananmen and kill Chairman Mao. I mean, ridiculous. Anyway, he was sentenced to 10 years. 2 of the others were executed. I think the communist purpose was to frighten all the Chinese from having any contact with foreigners. I think that was the purpose of this case. Anyway, he was lucky. He was released after only 3 years. So he comes to Hong Kong, and then he sets up the Hong Kong University Press, which, as you know, is a very important press in Asia now. So Henri Vetch was the father of this press. Now, the French presence in Hong Kong, I'm sure you know it very well. It's very active in the cultural, artistic fields, many films, theater, orchestra, Alliance Française, many activities, and very popular with Hong Kong people. I think this photo is a little dated. I mean, in the 80s, when I was in Beijing, you want to get a favor from the Chinese Guan Yuan, you would buy one of these bottles. That would be enough. You know, not cheap, expensive one, but 搞得掂. I think now maybe you have to give him BMW or Benz or pay for his children to study in America, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, at that time, they were the premium, you know, luxury products, but all French, you see. Now, this is, I'm sure you've seen, this is Canton Road in Hong Kong. And all these people are comrades from the mainland. You see, there are no whites there at all. We are not allowed to enter. because we don't have the money. We are not qualified. And when I was in Beijing in the 80s, it was the other way around. You know, in Beijing, we had a friendship store. Beijing people were not allowed to enter. Only the foreigners or the overseas Chinese are allowed to enter. And you have to use these FECs, you know, these foreign exchange certificates. So Chinese friends would give us the money in renminbi. We would go in and buy for them Japanese TV, Japanese microwave oven, give it to them. And they were very angry that they could not enter. You know, it was so unjust that the foreigners could go into this shop, you know, in the middle of their city. But now history has turned 180 degrees. So now here we have a shop, and, you know, the Guaylo cannot enter. And I think hardly any Hong Kong people enter either from the mainland people. So today, many French in Hong Kong, it's less than before COVID. In COVID, a lot of Europeans left, including a lot of French, mainly because of the restrictions on the families and on the children. I think we're about 15,000 now, French people. Anyway, many of them are in the wine business, fine food. As you know, Hong Kong is duty-free for alcohol now. So we have 40,000 working in the wine business, many luxury brands, film, music, festivals. Now this is Italy. Canossian sisters are somewhat same as Sisters of St. Paul. So this is one of their schools, Canossian school, and it is the same as the St. Paul schools, again, for children of ordinary families. And they have transformed the lives of these ladies. I'm sure you know this gentleman. Anybody? Give me the name. He's Italian priest. Franco Melli. Now, he is the most, how can I say, controversial priest. He was a socially active, very socially active. He started to work in textile factories as a worker, and his intention was to learn the conditions, the sanitary conditions, the environmental conditions, the air, to understand them and campaign for the workers. So, of course, he didn't last very long. He was dismissed by the bosses, but it gave him the authority to campaign on these issues. And then these are the boat people. And he lived on these boats for 10 years. And his campaign there was, these boat people, they married ladies from the mainland, but the ladies were not allowed to go onto the shore. So they lived on the boat, and the children could not go to school. So the teachers had to go to the boats. So he campaigned for the wives and the children to have the right to enter Hong Kong. So the Hong Kong government did not like him at all. So this order arrived in 1858, and they also have made a huge contribution to Hong Kong, especially in building the church in Hong Kong. They built the early cathedrals, and the bishops, the early bishops in Hong Kong were Italian. So Franco Mello we mentioned. And also one interesting point is Canossian sisters. The first 4 ladies arrived in Hong Kong. Can you imagine the boat trip from Italy to here? It took so long, it was dangerous. They didn't speak English or Guangdonghua. So they get off the boat, they get on the shore, and they are met by this lady called Emily Bowring. She's the daughter of the governor. She come from the top of society. You know, she have drivers, cooks, waited on hand and foot, you know, in the governor's house, but she converted and she became also a Canossian nun. Anybody recognize this guy? He was the concierge of Mandarin Hotel, more than 30 years. Now we come to Portuguese. Portuguese also very important in the history of Hong Kong. As you know, after Hong Kong was founded, many Macanese people moved to Hong Kong because much better job opportunities there. So this Portuguese community was really much more established than the French or Italian or the British, because they lived there. You know, they were not leaving. They were not going anywhere else. They weren't expat. So they provided a middle class in Hong Kong. So the top grade will be the whites, the CEOs, the high government officials. And they were the intermediary, just like in Macau, because they spoke English and they also spoke Guangdonghua and Fujianhua. So they were essential for the running of many banks and trading companies. So they were a big, important community. But as you know, a colony is a caste system like India. So it was hard for them to break the glass ceiling, to become the CEO of a company or the general manager or to get a high job in the government. But a few of them did. So this is one of them, Jose Braga. He became member of the LegCo. He joined the ruling class in Hong Kong. And the other most famous one is Arnaldo de Sales. I'm sure you know him. We call him the king of sport in Hong Kong because he's established so many sports facilities for ordinary people. Previously sport was mainly for the rich, private clubs, very nice places, but you need to have money and you need to join to go there. But he established many sports for the ordinary people. And I'm sure you remember in the Munich Olympics, the Palestinian group had killed the Israeli athletes, and they took over a building where the Israeli athletes were housed. And there were 2 Hong Kong athletes in this building. So the German police surrounded the building, and de Sales insisted on entering the building. The German police said, "You mustn't go, you may be killed." But he went in there and persuaded the PLO to allow him to take out the 2 Hong Kong athletes. So this was a really glorious moment. This is a school established by the Dominican brothers from Spain. So I went to interview one of the priests there, and he explained to me that, of course, most Spanish people who wanted to leave Spain, they didn't come to Hong Kong, of course. They went to Latin America because there are so many opportunities here. So the Spanish presence in Hong Kong was quite limited. Anyway, this was their most important school. Can you tell me what this is? Who these people are? Are there no soccer fans in the room? This is the Real Madrid soccer team. And in Hong Kong, we have Barcelona and Real Madrid fan clubs. So once a year, the team must come and, meet the fans and thank them for their support. Now, this section is entirely due to Father Stefan, because he gave me the book by Father Ladani. And he is a very important person, not just for Hong Kong, but actually for the whole world. He's one of his books on the Communist Party. And this book is so good that even today, about 40 years after he wrote it, it's completely accurate because the Communist Party has not changed. The nature of the Marxist-Leninist Party has not changed. So his analysis is completely accurate. So 1953 to 1982, he was the author of this China News Analysis. Came out every week. And it was read by everyone around the world interested in China. So governments, embassies, professors, people in Rome. I'm sure the CIA also read it, because it was the most authoritative source of information. Because what he did was he listened to and he read all Chinese media, and he was able to explain it in a simple, comprehensive manner. And it's been a model for China watchers ever since. I mean, other Chinese watchers are doing the same thing. He lived in the mainland for 9 years until when he was expelled. And this is a Swedish singer, Anders Nelson. And I put him in because he was born in Shatin. His parents were missionaries. So he grew up speaking Cantonese. So he sings in Cantonese, in English, and in Swedish. And he's very popular in Hong Kong. Okay, thank you for your time. Welcome your questions.